If you say any of the following regarding a divorce, I'm a mess, I'm a wreck, I'm confused, I'm lost. Maybe you say some days are better than others. Maybe you're even saying I'm fine, I think, but you're not really sure. Well, today I want to reveal a very simple tool that you can use to help you figure out not only where you are, but use that to figure out how to move forward and how to get on with your life. And maybe you've been doing a bunch of work, say with a therapist or other people. You can actually use this as well to figure out what more do you need to work on. So it's a very cool tool I want to reveal. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kevin Van Leer, an expert divorce coach and CEO of Rebuilders International, which provides programs and services for people dealing with divorce to help them recover very quickly. Personally, I've been on a self-discovery journey since 2018, which was my second divorce. Since then, I've worked with thousands of people to navigate their divorce and deal with the emotional trauma very quickly and move on with a life that's happy and fulfilling. In these videos, I'm going to be giving you lots of information, things that I think will be really valuable to you to help you get through this very quickly. Today, I'm going to be talking about this one very simple tool that I have found to be massively helpful for so many people. Thousands of people have used this, and it's just an amazing thing that can help people not only figure out where they are, but also figure out a plan to move forward. In divorce, a lot of people refer to it as it's almost like a bomb going off in your life. So what do? When all of these things, like there's the legal stuff, there's the financial things, there's the parental obligations that you may have, and then there's also the emotional and mental trauma that happens. So the legal and the financial stuff, those are both things that are external. Those are, logistics and, processes that you have to go through. The parental stuff, I like to think of as both external and internal. Those are things that, you have to still manage kids. You have to figure out logistics of who's picking up when and where. And then there's the custody issues. But there's also a lot of mental things about being in the right space to be able to help your kids and be there for them, because they too are also dealing with divorce. So then the other two areas, the mental and the emotional issues, are also really big, but those are internal. Those are things that are happening inside of you. So one of the things I want to do is talk about, for a lot of people that are lost and confused, those kinds of things that are internal, they're much harder to see, to understand, process. And that's where this tool I want to help you understand really does a lot for helping people get through this phase. So the first thing is I want to talk about that there's actually, we see it as there's three really critical things for just understanding where you are. And I want to use this triangle here to explain a little bit about how this works. So the first one is, the first area that we find that is people need to focus on first is your thinking. That's all the stuff that's happening above your neck. So this is like values, beliefs, judgments, criticisms, all of those things that, these thoughts that are so like going all the time, those are hard to process and figure out how to get out of it. A lot of people get stuck in this loop of trying to figure out, why is this happening? What can I do? What was my role? What was my spouse's role? What could I have done differently? All those questions are all mental and we go over them over and over and over again. And so the first place that I see is that it's really important to focus on your thinking. If you don't do that, it's really hard to deal with everything else. If you are stuck just constantly trying to do other things or avoid this, then you don't sleep well, which affects your ability to focus, maybe affects jobs, all of those things. So understanding your thinking and what's going on there is step one. The second one is feelings. So your feelings are things like everything that's happening below your neck. So those are things like your anger, sadness, shame, confusion, anxiety. All of those things, those feelings sit inside your body, and they have massive effects as well. You can have, people have fatigue from that. They can be, just not be able to eat, heart issues, just, it affects your body and your body's ability to physically manage all of the stress that's happening in your life. So that's the second step. The third step is what I call identity. So identity is, if the first two is above the neck, below the neck, identity is as a whole. Who are you as a person? So divorce is one of those things where you have an identity of yourself as a couple, and when you start to go through divorce or any kind of breakup, what happens is that now what's happening is this, you're splitting this from we to me. It's becoming just you. Who are you as a person? And for a lot of people, they are so wrapped up in just their identity as a whole that when that other person leaves, they don't know who they are. So the third step is understanding identity, things like self-worth, confidence, self-esteem, self-compassion, just all of those things that leave you saying, who am I now? And so this is a really big one. Okay, so everybody has different circumstances around divorce. But what we find is that the effects on people are very similar, that these things happen and the effects can be categorized pretty easily into these different areas. Now, there is a fourth one here, which is relationships. But for most people, that is so far down the line, it doesn't matter. Now, the first step in working through these things, what we find is that if you don't really know where you are in any of these areas, then you're stuck trying to just process this, and it feels like everything's all over the place. So what we find is that, if you think of it this way, if you were to go see a doctor and say, I'm just tired, I can't seem to function, depression, those kinds of things. Typically what a doctor would do is say, all right, well, let's do a blood test and figure out what's going on. And let's say the blood test reveals that you have low iron. Well, the solution is then to get more iron into your system so that you get more oxygen to attach and therefore you have more energy. It might be as simple as that. So the same thing happens with these things, but since they're internal, it's harder to get them out. So this tool that I want to reveal to you is so cool because what it is it's something called the Fisher Divorce Adjustment Survey. And the way it works is it asks you a series of questions, and they're very simple questions like, I am physically and emotionally exhausted from morning until night. And then you respond, how true is this for you? To maybe always or to the scale of never. And so it lets you grade these statements on how much does it apply to you. Then what happens is when you answer these questions, you get your results sent to you, and it will break down your answers into 6 key areas about what's going on with you. And most of these results have to do with the thinking, the feelings, or the identity. So now that you know what's going on in each of these categories, let's say you scored a 40 here, you scored a 20 here, but you scored a 60 there. Well, what it can do is then point to, okay, the grief and the anger, for example, are really intense for you, and that's probably going to be the best place to focus first. So it's a super cool way to get an understanding of what's going on with you. Now, the other really cool thing about this tool is that when you do it, you get these scores, not only your scores sent to you, but you also get information on what can you do to feel better. What are some practical things that you need to focus on in order to manage this? So what's also really great about it, because the tool is free and it takes almost no time, is you can take it again and you get your scores sent to you again that say, here's how you did before, here's how you're doing now. So let's say you are working with a therapist and you say, I want to see where I'm at, and then work for a month, and then come back and take the test again and just see how you're doing. And you can see, oh, okay, I've managed to raise this up to a 40. I'm doing better there. Now I need to focus on the thinking or identity stuff. So it's a very cool tool that I find super valuable. When I took it, when I was first going through my divorce, I saw that my anger scores were really low. And I already knew that, but there were some other scores that I didn't realize. So, and then I took it over time, and I did see improvement in all areas to the point where I could see that I'm doing a lot better, and I feel like I can move forward with other things. So, super cool tool. So the way where you can find this is if you go to rebuilders.net, there is, if you look in the top right corner, there is a button that says self-test. You just take that. It's totally free. Just click on that and you get your score sent to you very quickly once you complete the test. So that's my suggestion for today on how to understand what's going on with you and get some tools on how to move forward.